Last week, I flew to Philadelphia to attend the board game convention PAX Unplugged. And as you can probably tell by my voice, I had a great time. So on the Thursday before the convention officially started, I made my way to the convention center, but not without getting lost first. I accidentally went to the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau instead of the Philadelphia Convention Center. But I quickly sorted it out, ran a little bit, got distracted by the beautiful buildings, but I did make it to PAX. It's always cool to get to a con early before all of the crowds and seeing all of the empty tables just waiting to have games played on them. After a very helpful staff member let me use their phone to call the person who had my badge inside, because there's essentially no Wi-Fi at PAX, just FYI, and I only use Wi-Fi when I travel to the US, I eventually got into the hall, and that's also so cool to see all of the booths getting set up. There are cranes everywhere and trucks and pallets and just so much activity going on. So I was attending PAX as part of the Ravensburger team because I designed a game for them called Chronicles of Light, and I would be demoing the game at their booth all weekend. So on Thursday, I helped prep the demo copy of Chronicles of Light and also taught it to other staff members in case they had to also teach the game during the convention. I added some flair to my badge lanyard. Anyone who bought Chronicles of Light at PAX would also get one of these pins, and helped prepare the booth for opening day. And they had a really cool chair set up for someone who would be cosplaying as Krampus for the Krampus expansion for the game Horrified, so I had to get my photo taken in the chair. I got a chance to check out the open play area and couldn't believe how big it was. And while checking out some of the other booths getting set up, I spotted a banner for Moon Bunny, which is a game by other Vancouver-based designers Marie and Pauline of Hot Banana Games, so that was really cool to see. I also saw the most crokinole boards I've ever seen at one time. I'm so glad to see more people enjoying this super fun game outside of Canada. After that, I headed over to a meetup with the Board Game Besties, which is a group I started quite a few years ago for women, gender non-conforming, non-binary, and trans folks in the tabletop games industry. It was so much fun and one of the highlights of the entire convention. Thank you to everyone who came out for it. I'll link to the group below if you want to join. We then walked over to a party hosted by the Game Manufacturers Association, or GAMA for short, and 9th Level Games at a very cool bar. It was packed though, so I didn't stay too long, especially because I had to wake up early the next morning for a pitch meeting. On Friday, I packed up 2 prototypes and sell sheets for games I would be pitching that morning. I headed out and it was so cold outside. And people are like, this shouldn't be cold for you, you're Canadian. And I'm like, yes, I'm Canadian. And I have dealt with being cold enough in my lifetime. I have paid my dues. I have put in my time. I am done with being cold. So I personally don't know if I'll be heading back to PAX anytime soon. If I'm going to fly somewhere in December, it better be to Mexico or somewhere hot. Anyway, I pitched a party game and a trivia game to a publisher I haven't worked with before, and so we'll see what happens. After my pitch, I had some time to walk around before the doors open at 10. And I saw my friend Jay's booth for his company Off the Page Games. I saw Everdell Duo, which I'm very excited about because I love Everdell. I saw some really cool 3D models of dragons and a castle. I saw all of the people lined up waiting to get in, and I saw my game on display with a bunch of other Ravensburger games, which never gets old, and it's just so awesome to see. I then set up my demo table for Chronicles of Light, including my reference card as a reminder to myself of the order that I like to teach the game. And then they were off, and it didn't take long for people to join my table asking for demos. And one funny thing that happened during the con was Krampus was hanging out right across from my table, causing all kinds of trouble, like knocking over the player pieces on our demo tables. It was slightly distracting, but very entertaining. During my break, I got to check out the speed puzzling competition, and I actually recognized some of the puzzlers, and I felt like I unlocked a new level of nerd with that knowledge. But the whole thing was run by the very cool Rin, who also owns a board game cafe called The Castle in Beverly, Massachusetts, which you should definitely check out if you're ever in the area. I had some time to walk around a bit and saw Insectarium by Krista Mott, who I met at the Besties meetup. These very cute black cat plushies for the trick-taking game Cat in the Box. I saw this cool dude, and the new Dune Imperium Bloodlines, which I didn't have time to demo unfortunately, but I'm interested in learning more. And I checked out the Lorcana demo table, which was directly behind my demo table. Then I went upstairs to the Unpub area, and it was so great to see it so full. This is where people can bring their prototypes and have others play them and give their feedback. I also walked around the First Look area, which featured games from Germany, Japan, and other countries outside North America. After a few more hours of demoing, I walked through the open play area, and it was awesome to see so many people playing games. I even saw a couple of people playing Chronicles of Light. I then headed back to my hotel and called it a night. Saturday morning is when I started to lose my voice. I'm always paranoid that I have COVID anytime my throat hurts, so I took a COVID test just in case, and it was negative. Ravensburger actually supplies COVID tests for all of its staff in their welcome bags, and I think that is such a great idea and hope that many other publishers do the same. But I knew that my throat was sore from demoing all day the previous day in the very, very dry con hall. So I packed a ton of lozenges and water and headed to the con. I got there early again because I had another pitch meeting for my engine building strategy game this time, and so we'll see what happens with that one too. Expect the worst, hope for the best, right? I had some time after my pitch and before the doors opened, which was really nice because I got to run into some friends like Rachel from Queen Games, who also has her own YouTube channel. Go check it out, I'll link it below. And here are some of the other cool things and people I saw before I started my shift. I just wanted to thank all of the people who came by to play Chronicles of Light during PAX. So many fun groups came by, and even some strangers played together, and by the end they were friends who had just gone on an epic quest. On my break, I was able to stop by my friend Jenna's booth for her cute merch store, Tip Top Tabletop. I mean, just look at all these cute things! I'll link to her store below too, definitely check it out. Then I was back to oversee an open play event for Chronicles of Light, and so many fun groups came by for that one too. Then it was back to demoing for a few more hours. After that, I headed over to the games library and met up with some of my YouTube members, and this was another huge highlight of the con for me. We played one of my other games called Blob Party, as well as Point Salad and Flip 7. Thank you to Jonathan, Jordan, Ryan, and Tasha for coming out for that. I had a blast. My voice was in pretty bad shape by this time, so I grabbed a tea from 7-Eleven and headed to bed. On Sunday, I didn't have a pitch meeting before my shift, so I got to sleep in a little bit, which was really nice. And I remembered that Ravensburger had voice amplifiers, so I grabbed one of those. I wish I had used it on Friday and Saturday, but oh well, at least I remembered it for Sunday. During my break, I saw my favorite booth of the con. I actually didn't see who it was for. If anyone knows whose booth this is, please share it in the comments. It looks like a basement from the 90s, and I love it so much. Then I headed to the quiet room and laid down for a couple of minutes, which was amazing. Then I headed back out for my final demos of the con and took one last look around. That night, I hung out with some friends at their Airbnb and played Welcome To, as well as Spectral, which my brain was way too tired for, but it was a fantastic way to end my PAX weekend. Thanks so much for coming along.